Hello, I'm going to show you how to crochet this super easy winter hat. It's made from side to side and you will be making the ribbon and the hat part at the same time. I'm using a chunky yarn for this project, but it's quite a thin chunky, so you can use size 4 instead if you want. And I've got a 6.5mm crochet hook, but you can use size 6 as well if you want. First we'll make a slip knot and we are going to chain 39. Once you've made your 39 stitches, we're starting to work back into the second stitch from your hook, so skip the first one and go into the second chain, and we will be making single crochet stitches into every chain all the way back to the beginning where you started. So just keep making one single crochet into each chain until you get back to the beginning of your chain, and this is what you should have. Now chain 1 and turn your work. We're going to make a single crochet into the first stitch. Just make one single crochet. Now we are working into the back loops and making 7 single crochet stitches into back loops only. So just pick up the back loop of your next stitch and make a single crochet and do this 7 times, and that part is what creates the ribbon for your hat. Once you've done your 7 stitches, we start in the hat pattern. First we'll do a single crochet into the next stitch, just a standard single crochet, and now a treble, so yarn over twice, go into your next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's your treble. Next stitch we're going to make another single crochet stitch, and then the following one will be another treble, so yarn over twice again, go into your stitch, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and this is the repeat for the rest of this row. So you're going to do a single crochet followed by a treble crochet. Keep repeating this all the way to the end until you have 2 stitches left, and I will show you what to do when you get to the end of this row. Now we have 2 more stitches left. We're going to do 1 more single crochet, but we are going to leave the very last stitch unworked. We're not making anything into that one. Chain 1 and turn your work, and now this row it will be single crochet stitch into every stitch from the row below. You just keep going, making a single crochet into every stitch until you get back to where your ribbon part of your hat is. So make sure you don't go over that, just keep going until you reach the point where your ribbon starts. When you get to that point, you will now work into the back loops again. So just pick up only the back loop of the next stitch and do a single crochet, and again do this 7 times. And for the very end of the row I'd like to do a standard single crochet instead of back loop one. I just think it's finishing the edge off a little bit better, but it's up to you. If you want to do the back loop one, you can. And that's this row done. Chain 1 again and turn your work, and again first part what we're doing is going to be the ribbon part for your hat. So make your standard single crochet first, followed by 7 single crochet stitches into the back loops only. When you've done your 7 stitches, it's a really good idea to mark your last stitch with the stitch marker so you know where your ribbon part ends and starts. And now we're working with a hat pattern again. We're starting this time with a treble crochet. So do your treble first, and that will follow with the single crochet. So it's the same pattern, just other way around. You're making your treble stitch first, and that will be followed by a single crochet. With these treble stitches, if you just gently push them forward a little bit with your finger, they'll make a really nice pumpy texture. And that will be your pattern repeat for this row. Once you get to the end of your row, you will have 1 stitch left, and we are not going to work into that very last stitch at all. So let's just do the last treble, last single crochet, and leaving that last one unworked again. Chain 1, turn your work around, and now making single crochet stitches all the way back to your stitch marker, because you know that you'll mark that bit where your hat ribbing will start. Now we are back to where the stitch marker is. Take your stitch marker out, and you know that you are back to where your hat ribbon is. So you need to be doing back loop single crochet stitches here. Make 7 of them, and again I would make just a normal single crochet into the very final stitch of your ribbon to create the edge. Now chain 1, turn your work, and we will be making a ribbon part again first. So single crochet and then 7 single crochet stitches into the back loops only. Again, once you've done your 7, you can take your stitch marker to mark that very last stitch. Now starting with the hat pattern again. This time we're starting with a single crochet followed by treble crochet. So do your single crochet first, and then a treble, and you probably realize by now that this is what we will be doing all the way to the end until we have 2 stitches left, and we will leave 1 last stitch unworked, but we are going to make an extra single crochet in this row because it ends with a treble. So we're just going to do another single crochet and leave that last one unworked again. Chain 1, turn your work, and now it's all the way back to the stitch marker with just single crochet stitches, 1 into each stitch from the row below. And when you get back to your stitch marker, you already know you have to start working on your ribbon. So that means working into the back loops 7 times, and into the final stitch we're just doing a standard single crochet stitch. Chain 1 again, turn your work, repeat this part, making single crochet and then 7 single crochet stitches into the back loops. Get your friendly stitch marker and mark the very last stitch. And now moving on to the hat part of the pattern, because the last one we started with single crochet, this row will start with a treble crochet followed by a single crochet. So this is really all of the details of this pattern. You will be starting 1 row with a single crochet followed by treble, and then the next alternative row you will be making treble first, followed by a single crochet stitch all the way to the end. Finish off this last treble and make another single crochet stitch, again leaving the very last stitch unworked. Don't worry, we'll sort these out soon, we won't leave them like that forever. And then chain one, turn around and go back, making just one single crochet into each stitch until you get back to your helpful stitch marker. Now you're back there, you know what to do. You take your stitch marker out of the way and make your ribbon part again. This row we will start with a single crochet, because you can see that treble underneath, so that's how you know you're starting with a single followed by a treble and then another single, sort of just over where your last treble is, and keep going again all the way to the end of this row. Finish with a single crochet and leave the last stitch unworked again. Turn your work around, chain one and single crochet all the way back right to the beginning where your stitch marker is. Repeat your ribbon part to the back loops and turn your work again to go back in the opposite direction, just like before. In this row we are starting with treble crochet first, followed by single crochet. So we will end the row repeat with a single crochet, and then I will show you how to start tapering at the top of your hat, so it will be shaped rather than just like a one big tube. We have now done 12 rows. You will have 6 rows of these little bumps made, and that means we're now going to work down these stitches which you left unworked in the previous rows to just taper the top of the hat off a little bit. So go and make single crochet into each of these unworked stitches, just one single crochet into each stitch until you've done all of them. And now we're going to chain one and turn your work, and we will treat these just like a normal stitches, just like your standard row, and we'll work single crochet into each stitch all the way back until you get back to your stitch marker. So just keep making one single crochet into each stitch all the way back to your stitch marker. Here we are, make the last single crochet, get your stitch marker out of the way, and do your ribbon part just the way you did before, with 7 back loop single crochet stitches, and the very last one just a normal single crochet. We are now going to repeat everything from the very beginning of these rows. So you still start exactly the same, making your ribbon until you've done your 7 stitches, and then get your helpful stitch marker and mark that space. And now you're going to work all the way to the end of this row again, sort of like around the curve towards the end, and start with your single crochet followed by a treble, and it's the same repeat, so single crochet first and then followed by treble. And you have to remember that at the end of this row you should have 2 stitches left over. So let's get closer to the end, another treble another single, another treble, and now we have 2 stitches, and then next one we're going to make a single crochet, but again you're leaving the very last stitch unworked. Turn your work and then all the way back to your stitch marker with just single crochet stitches. And this is now your repeat. You are going to do these alternative rows of starting one row with a single crochet followed by a treble, and the next row with starting with a treble and followed by a single crochet. Always leave the very last stitch unworked until you have done 6 rows, and then you taper off those 6 rows, and this will be then repeated 5 times. After your 5 repeats of these 12 rows each, you should end up with something like this. So your ribbon end is all straight and the top end of your hat is tapered off, so it goes in a little bit. Your hat should be a couple of inches shorter than your head size. So let's just measure this quickly. My head measurement was 23 inches, and this hat is just about 20 inches at the moment. So that's perfect, because hats will need a negative ease because they will always stretch when you start wearing them. Fold your hat together so that your right side is inside and the wrong side of your work is facing you. And we're going to join the very last row and the very first chain row together with a slip stitch. So get your hook and start going through both sides of your hat, the very first chain and the very final row, and just going through all the way through and slip stitch these 2 sides together. So make sure you're picking up the correct stitches off each side. Just carefully, one by one, join both sides together, and that way you don't have to do any sewing at all. When you get to the end, you will have this very small hole left. So let's fasten off our yarn, pull it through and get the yarn needle, and just with a few stitches we will close this hole. And all you got left to do now is hide your yarn tail on the side of your hat, cut it off, turn your hat right around and wear it proudly. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video.